Hello, my friend. On our calendar today, it says backside. And I bet a bunch of you have guessed what backside is. It's the back of your quilt. I would love to see today some back sides of your quilt. And also I want to hear how you think about the backing of your quilts, because there are probably several different varieties, and I think a lot of us will swing between what we decide. Sometimes you want the back of the quilt to be one piece of fabric and you want it to match the front, so it may even have to be the same fabric as the front, or you might decide you want a wide back, like my new wide backs Harmony that are coming out, and you will go with a color that is complements the front of the quilt. Another time you might be like, well, I need to piece the back with some of the leftovers from the front because that is, I want to use it up. I don't really need those colors in my stash anymore, and they will be perfect as a patchwork back. And then other times you might just be, and I've done this many times in the past, not so much recently, you might just use up something you have that you just want to get rid of. You got some fabric, you don't know why you bought it, you haven't used it, it's a lot of yardage, and you're like, okay, I'm putting it on the back of this quilt. Maybe it doesn't necessarily go really well, but you'll put it on there. Now, I tried to find one of those for you, and this stacks. And I can tell you, I just pulled out 10 quilts, 10. Every single one of them had the back as all the same fabric. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I couldn't find one. But I did find two others as examples of using fabrics up that you already have. And the first one, here's the front, and this is from my book, Take the Fear Out of Color, which is an out-of-print book, but I'll link you below to anything, anywhere that might be found. I think Amazon has it as, somebody's reselling. I don't know that it's a digital. If it's a digital book, I'll link you to that. So here's Take the Fear Out of Color, one of the quilts. And on the backing, I just did several pieces of tan. Now, are any of those on the front? This piece is on the front, but I'm not sure. No, none of the other fabrics are on the front, but they're all just tan that go with this scrap. And it, so they look nice, it's very cohesive. But they really are not part of the front. For the most part, they're pretty much just one piece. Now the other one here was from my novelty print book. It's a book about all different ways to showcase novelty prints, and novelty prints are like larger scale prints, prints with different figures on them. So here I've got like a zigzag that you can alternate with this great big beautiful boat fabric. So what I do in the back, so this is one that's got a little bit of a mishmash. So apparently when I was making this, I had some of the companion prints of those flags, and I had more flags I didn't use. So there's two different flags. I didn't use that white one. I ended up using one with a light blue background. So I put the dark blue and the white background together. But then I mishmashed because on the side, I just had this extra piece of black that, those others weren't wide enough, so I just needed a bit more. And I didn't worry too much that this fabric has nothing to do with sailing or boating or anything else. That's just how it works sometimes. So I would love to see the backs of your quilts, or you can just tell me about how you think about it. That's always fun. All right, let's talk about the flowers for Basket of Bloom, because if you're making this from the kit, you will see that I made yesterday I could call it a boo-boo. I could call it a design choice, but basically I made a mistake. And this is the block I did, and it does look darling, except that the pattern has all these outsides are supposed to be the background fabric, not the same thing as the middle. But I got very excited and I just used that. So I decided on the other two that I would just play around, and I would go ahead though and first recut the background fabric. So let's take a look at how the three of these look, because I also wanted to show you just how color and fabric choices make a huge difference in what you're doing. So this is the one that I sewed yesterday, and I have darker here and then a medium tone. So the flower it doesn't have a high contrast. It looks pretty cool. Same with this one, but the darker here is on the outside instead of darkers on the inside. So you can see a little bit of a shift in how that image looks when the dark is on the outside. And on the last one, I chose this lighter peach, and there is like the whole image sort of changes because you get more focus just on these 4 spots than on the rest of the unit. So it doesn't have that sort of fullness that this one has. So I thought that was pretty cool for the flower, and I've decided I'm leaving this one. I just figure it will be like, it's just got sprinkled sparkly dust on that one. Maybe it's pollen. Maybe it's got pollen on that one. You just never know what's going to happen, and this is just one quilt of many that I will make, and I'm just not going to take that apart because then, you know, whatever. So if you're making this from the kit, it has a charm pack, so you can you don't have to do the exact same fabrics that I did for all of these. You can make them all a little tighter in color like these two, and you don't need to use the lighter peach. There's plenty of the reds there, the darker one. I was like sewing, I got ready to sew that, and I went like, wait, that's supposed to float. The flower's supposed to be floating on the background. Those little outer parts are supposed to be the background fabric. It's like, duh. All right. And that's what happens some days. All right, let's look at the Sew Sampler. Because if you're a subscriber, you've got yours. And if you're not, most of these things are available, so it's always fun to see what came. I never look. I don't look at the reveal or anything. So they always do this theme, so it's Vintage Soul. Ooh. And on the back, there's some coupons for 3 different items. So that is nice. If you get in the Sew Sampler, then you have those coupons if you want any of those items. Ah, looky, looky, looky. I love it. The Flamingo Toes turner. You could also use this as a letter opener. I love it. This is my favorite tool. I just want to like have it out to look at it because it's so darn cute. I should put it in my pencil cup. All right, what else is in here? There's a little guide that tells us. So we got 2 charm packs this time of the Seamstress, which is a brand new collection from Laundry Basket. I love the name, don't you? The Seamstress. There's some books like that, aren't there? Like novels that talk about, that have that. So here's, it looks on here. I didn't realize this. Andover fabric. It says 100 years. Is Andover fabric 100 years old? I didn't know that. I thought they were a much newer company. So we have 2 charm packs, which means, cool. If you got the Sew Sampler, you can do my Oh My Stars with these if you don't want to do the pattern that comes in the box. There you go. You have choices. So I want to take a look at this fabric roll because I haven't had it. I've only seen it online, and I like the Laundry Basket fabrics. Adida does a really nice job. They're very vintagey, just like the title of this box. So you always have a big print, and then these beautiful companions. Okay, I'm just taking this off. All right, so the companions are always gorgeous, and I really like to sew with fabric like this every so often. It's very pretty. There's another little medium print, and so the same things will be repeated in different colorways. It's got this sort of dusty rose and then some tans. Oh, there's like oak leaves. So the seamstress doesn't mean that they're sewing items. I mean, generally she doesn't put that kind of stuff in her fabric lines, but they're really nice prints. I like that. Oh, this is very nice. I love the blue on that flower. That blue is gorgeous. I might have to do an Oh My Stars with this. A little pop of yellow, a couple of yellow pieces, and then there's this kind of interesting green. So it's not olivey, and it's not a blue green. It's kind of in between. Maybe it's a little bit more blue green. And then there's a little smaller print. And then what else has she got? Some navies. That's a more teal. Some blue. Yeah, that's more teal rather than navy. And then, oh, that's nice. There's a lot of different patterns in here. Holy cow. And the pinks. Pink, pink, pink. Burgundy down to sort of burgundy. So you could do an Oh My Stars, but the box, if you're in the Sew Sampler Club, you do get a pattern with it. So this is the pattern that comes that you can make. And then what else came in here? There's some other things. Here is a needle threader. This is beautiful. Look at this. Look at this, like a beautifully pressed out tin of like a quilt pattern. Let's see if I can get that. There you can go. Isn't that gorgeous? So there's a needle minder and then some thimbles. So how many of you use thimbles? Like how many of you are thimble people? You know, when I'm doing a lot of handwork, if I'm like appliquing, I will use a thimble. I tend to use a metal thimble because I tend to push really hard and it'll just pop through a lot of things. But I also use them occasionally for just pulling, like if I'm trying to pull through a bunch of layers maybe and it's a little tougher. These are great for like more like a gripper. So. And also it says here, it's silicone protects fingertips from hot surfaces. Okay, so it's that kind of a thimble. See, I have to read these things. So these ones are for working with hot surfaces. So if you are pressing open seams, I believe that is probably where we're going with this. If you're pressing open seams, yeah. So you want to pull it on. See, you know, you guys have to live through me working through the box to understand it. Oh, this is a little tight, but so you can put it on, and like if you put the right size on, then when you're pressing open seams, I'm going to try that because it's very easy to just, you know, get your finger really kind of, you know, a little too much steam or a little burnt. Okay, yeah, the next size fits perfect. Here we go. So you got 3 sizes to work with. So oh, that's nice. I think that'll work really good. Cool. All right, so that's the Sew Sampler box. The links are down below, and when you're there, click the subscribe so we can be friends. And then you'll be able to find my videos all the time, and it helps me. We almost have 60,000 here. Maybe by the time you watch this. That's exciting. Up on my wall, I've got the one charm pack quilt, which you could use, of course, now that if you have one of these beautiful seamstress ones, you could do that. I would love to see that with like one of the lighter color, like the light blue background with that. Wouldn't that be pretty, one of those light blue fabrics? So mine is ready. I'm going to put it's all sewn, but I'm going to put a little outer border, and then maybe I'm going to audition 2 other outer borders. We'll see. We will see how they look. Okay, my friend. Show me some of your backings of your quilts, or at least tell me about them. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.